Testing, testing. One, two. Testing, testing. One, two. I see that I'm on. Start delay. Maybe I could. Hey, 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 hey. What's happening? I got on late today. Started late. See if we can get this little music going. Christine! Christine! Christine in the house. Christine in the house. Yo, yo, yo. Hey, I'm saying house because I was thinking about something today. People forget all about house rules. Like I can remember a time when someone, let me just I'll just say the way it is in my house, right? Someone comes over into my house. And my house, when I say my house, I mean it could be an apartment, it could be my house, it could be a room that I'm renting. It could be inside of a garbage can. Wherever it is that I have at some point in whatever sign of some kind of way I've declared or it's been acknowledged that that is my house, even if I'm renting it, I'm still responsible and accountable for the piece that I rent, right? The rules in my house may be different from the rules in your house. Everybody that uh, understands what I'm talking about knows that at the same time, when you leave your house and you go to someone else's house, if you've learned some type of courtesy, you're going to show courtesy to them by respecting, or let me say, honoring the rules in their house. Right? So in my house, I may allow people to cuss because I don't mind cussing. I don't care. Shit, goddamn, boop, boop, whatever. I can cuss on, you know. In fact, I remember when because growing up in my household, I couldn't cuss in the house. Only I couldn't cuss in the house though. Okay. My mother and my father in the household could cuss all day long. And they did too. I watched them express their emotions in so many kinds of ways of cussing. And we're talking about using the same cuss word, but just using it in different ways to express themselves, right? So here it is. I'm growing up in a household. I'm learning how to communicate the same way they learned how to, the same way they communicate, right? There's nobody else. I'm the offspring in the household. I'm there by myself. My siblings all died before I was born. And so I'm in the household by myself and I'm hearing them cussing all day long, day in and day out, but I couldn't do it. Okay. So I had this thing, and in fact, it was even the kids who stayed across the street from me. There was two white kids. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I stayed in I guess, if uh, if you want to call it a neighborhood, a white neighborhood, I guess. When we moved there, I was, we was the first. We was the first black family. We was the first black family at the top of the block. There was already another black family down at the other end of the block, but we were the first black family at the top of the block. Okay, so everybody, my neighbors to the left of the house were white, neighbors to the right of the house were white, the neighbors across the street were white. Everybody was white. And all of the white kids. There was, well, I can't remember if the white girl that lived next door to me, I remember things she got away with that I couldn't get away with my parents, but I don't remember if curse words were involved. But the white girl across the street and the two white boys that stayed next door to them, they could all cuss in front of their parents. Oh, shit, mom. Fuck. I remember the first time I seen him do that. Oh my God, I thought he was going to get stomped. I thought his mom was going to beat the hell out of him. And she just responded back to him without cursing back. She didn't use any cuss words in response. She just talked to him in a nice, calm manner, and he was still jumping up and down. Shit, fuck, mom, God. And my mouth was on the floor. And I remember when I went back to the house, because, I was all, my mouth was on the floor. I was all like, just, like I had just been to another planet. I mean, and really, in a way, it's exactly like that, because the culture, the behavior, the way white people behave in the system of racism, white supremacy, and the way non-white people, and especially black people in the system of racism, white supremacy behave are totally different. Totally different. And, some behaviors are the same, but there's just others that are different, and they're huge differences, right? But that was just me. That was the first time me noticing it. And I'm like, wow. And I go back and I tell my mom and my dad. My mom and my dad, they heard what I said, how I explained it to them. And their response was, okay, well, that ain't going on in this house. You're not going to be cussing over here at us. You're not going to be cussing at us. And they said it with this look that's just, that's the final word. Like, no, no questioning, nothing, So I accepted what they told me. So over at Josh and Aaron's house, I'd be cussing. I'd cuss along with them in their house. Their mother didn't have no problem with it. Nobody over there had any problem with me cussing. And I went back to the house. I didn't cuss. I think I used to say, I remember when I first found out, because my mom was heavily Christian. Okay. She was a Baptist, and she always referred to the Bible as the truth. There's always these many different answers to stuff in the Bible, she used to say, but rarely do I ever remember seeing her like pull it out or look through it or anything like that. But she, made me, pray my soul to take, if I should die before I wake, thing that verses that you say to the white Jesus. So when I, there was a brief period in my existence that I was doing that, matter of fact, even at the same time when I was cussing at the white people's house with the white people around, whatever. Right. But at my house, she had a thing about saying, so I remember the first time I said, damn. I said, damn. And she goes, don't say that. That's a cuss word. I said, it is? She said, yeah, don't say that. And I was like, okay. And then I found out the word damn was in the Bible. And man, I used the hell out of that word. I'm going to tell you. And hell was another word she said was a bad word. But because hell and damn were in the Bible, she would say, don't say that. I said, Mama, it's in the Bible though. She'd just be quiet. And I could keep doing it. After a while, I was hell and damn every time I could get a chance. Hell, oh damn, oh hell, oh damn. I was using the mess out of them words, boy. And I use the Bible to justify it, right? So um, I guess basically what today is about is the power of words. It's really about the power of words, and what we use words for, right? Because you can't have rules if you don't have any words for your rules, right? Your words, your rules have to be built with words. You have to, uh, like just like when you're building a house and you need materials to build your house, right? You need the wood, the concrete, the plaster, and the sheetrock, and the window, the glass for the windows. You need all that kind of stuff to construct your house. Well, the same thing works when you construct rules. Only the material for constructing the rules are the words that you use, right? And what do rules do? If you stick to following a rule, a rule is designed to either change or curb your behavior. That's basically what a rule is designed to do, right? So uh, if if everybody around me, if all the houses around me at the time when I was growing up did not permit me or permit their children to use curse words in the house, curse words, cuss words, if they were not permitted to use those, if I hadn't been exposed to that, I wouldn't have done it. I would have looked at the whole behavior of using cuss words to express myself when I speak. I would have abandoned that whole thing. I wouldn't have, it would have crossed my mind. And, once everybody else put a stop to it, all the other elders around me put a stop to it, I wouldn't have done it anymore. Right. Um, and what happens? I would have established a habit, right? I would have established a habit of not practicing it anymore, right? Because I mean, according to the racist white supremacists, and I've tried it, it has worked for me on some behaviors, and the other behaviors haven't. But what the it is that I'm speaking about is they've said or determined. I've been told that uh, it takes uh, between 30 and 90 days to change your behavior. Okay. And I'm saying this because some sources say 30, some sources say 60, others have said 90. I've never heard anybody say any days past 90. But um, if you're following a particular rule for that at least that length of time, it's going to change your behavior. Most likely, you'll forget all about it. You won't even remember, or it won't even be your focus anymore. But it'll still be a way that you behave. So uh, I was thinking about that today when it comes to these uh, I want to say a lot of people call them trolls or whatever, but you have a bunch of people out there who will watch your video and or listen to what you're saying, and because they don't like what you're saying, they will report it, or try to, they'll try to do something that they can to stop you or to stop others from hearing what you have to say. And I don't think that that's the proper way to do things, right? This is my channel. My channel is like my house. Okay. My channel is like my house. I have rules for my channel. And uh, just because I'm saying something here on my channel, and I like to say things or do things a particular kind of way, and I express that to you on my channel, doesn't mean that that's how I wanted to be on your channel. It doesn't mean that um, what I'm expressing here is something that I'm attempting to impose on others. But I do think everybody has the right to listen to what I have to say. And if they agree, they agree. If they disagree, they disagree. No one should have the ego that's so big that they should be able to determine what information people should hear and what information people shouldn't hear. Every individual person should be able to hear what's being said or read what's being read, right? And be able to draw their own conclusion. Now, the other uh, mm, I say negative about this aspect that I'm explaining is when, how can I put that? When So the other negative is that some people, when they offer information, they tell it as if it's the truth, as if it's a fact, when it's really just their opinion. And unfortunately, because a lot of our people, a lot of people out there, especially Black people, victims of racism, white supremacy, have not been taught how to think critically about the words or the information that they're receiving. They just believe it right off the bat. They just take it in as if it's the truth, you know? And it's horrible. It does a lot of damage to us because we have a lot of Black people out there. And this to me is why I want to fight white supremacy. The and I'm about to explain it to you, but there's a lot of behavior, a lot of Black people out there who behave in a way that shows they will not learn how to swim. They refuse to learn how to swim. They don't even go anywhere near a large body of water because they have been taught to believe that Black people cannot or don't swim. I know Black people who refuse to eat a watermelon. A watermelon, a a very, very tasty fruit. If you can find if you find a sweet one, right? I know some of y'all out there, you in Texas right now, you listening. So I know right now it's hot enough. It's probably I heard it was hot down there. So I know it's probably, hot enough for you to want to have a nice cold slice of watermelon, you know? Like I can remember back in the day when I was growing up in hot days out here in California in Richmond, and my mom and dad would buy they buy a big old watermelon and it'd be hot outside, sunshine and beautiful day. It's a real nice day out here right now. And oh man, I miss that. Slice open that watermelon. And hey, you could forget once they showed me how to slice watermelon. Oh, you could forget it. I was tearing them watermelons up. Oh man, and then the cantaloupes and the dew melons. Man. Mm, mm, mm. But it's Black people that's missing out on that because of this whole, watermelon thing. And it's just, you got to understand that. See, that whole Black people eating watermelon thing started off that was a joke from the racist white supremacists, but it was a reality. Black people, because just thinking about the southern states and the majority, when you know the history of slavery, most of the slaves worked in the field. Okay, hot sunny day in the field picking cotton, or corn or carrots or whatever crops that the slave masters was growing. Fish, George Washington had his slaves fishing all damn day. His slaves was out fishing, catching fish, putting huge nets of fish in the nets in the Hudson Bay and grabbing fish. But I'm sure, over there on the, on the edge of the bay there, it's probably cold, probably a little bit too cold for watermelon. But down in the South, picking out in them field, working in that hot sun, the watermelon became valuable to them. They because it's keeps you hydrated, and at the same time you can get energy from it. It gives you energy. It's filled with water, and you get energy from it when you eating it, and that's what they would have to while they're out in the field. And these racist suspects who were artists that decided to uh uh make caricatures out of black people, um and copying what they would see because they saw black people in the field with watermelons. But when you really think about it, so here the first time I seen a caricature, I forgot what they call them. They do have a term for those. Christine, what's the term? Oh, you said in Texas y'all eat watermelon all year round. So now what's the what do they call them? Minstrels, I guess, the little minstrel dolls and or whatever. But the first time I saw one of those on TV was a documentary on Channel 9, I think. Oh, excuse me, KQED, which was like national. That's NPR, kind of like they're kind of connected to the NPR, National Public Television. That's what it is. So it was like a documentary that showed them. They were the ones that were telling me when I see these little figurines with the watermelon that was derogatory or that it was racist. That they were the ones who were telling me that. So I just took it as that. But when you think about it, seeing a caricature of a black person with a watermelon, right? And I guess it'd be sometimes it's the the grinning, the big grin that accompanies it. Or like I know the other day somebody showed a video. It's a video circling around on the internet, and it's got it looks like it's some type of maybe it's I don't know if it's a watermelon contest or what I don't know what the hell it is, but it's a gathering, and it's mostly white people there, but there's some black people there, and the white people are eating. When you see the camera at first, it shows some white people eating watermelons, and then the camera zooms off of them onto a black person who's eating a watermelon, and she's eating her watermelon like she's racing, right? She's sucking the whole thing up and everything, and moving her head off like a typewriter on it or whatever, like she's a cartoon, right? And they put the camera on her, and all the black people, I mean all the white people, smile and laugh or whatever after she did it, right? But there's a lot of black people who tend to want to be the entertainment community for white people. Okay, there's a section in the code that talks about that. I ain't even gonna look it up. I'm just gonna tell y'all to look it up. But there is a section in there in the code that says don't be entertainment, don't be the entertainment committee for white people. That is a part of racism, white supremacy. If you are around a bunch of white people and you feel the need to be the center of the room, you feel the need to be the center of attraction in the room, and you start doing things, acting like a damn cartoon, like you a cartoon or some shit, And I'm talking from experience, okay? I've done it before. Now, there's plenty, maybe it's a bunch of y'all out there that are doing it, ain't done, don't know you're doing it, never really thought about it. See, I when I was doing it, I wasn't aware that I was doing it until after I practiced the code, right? I read it in the code and I started thinking about it. I just started reflecting on past events, right? And like, and it was like, it was more like the entertainment was where I was like the butt of the joke. Like I was the punchline for the joke. Like I was the joke, you know, and I just laugh with it, go along with it or whatever. You know what they say, laugh when you uh I forgot who said that. Scratch when you don't itch, but laugh when you smile when you don't want to smile, and scratch where you don't itch. Something. What's the saying? What's the saying? Anyway, you know, I just wanted to put that on your mind today about our behaviors. And see, for a while I wondered, right? Because when I first said, when I made, first started making videos about the system of racism, white supremacy, I was getting like views in the hundreds of thousands. Okay, at least 10,000 views on some of my videos. And I'd get a lot of comments from white people. And the comments from white people were unexpected, okay? Because I was saying what I was saying for, I guess I was trying to talk to black people, right? But it was white people that were watching my videos, and and so they started making these comments. And for a while I couldn't understand why, when I say replace white supremacy with justice, would they be upset with me? Because I'm thinking, man, if this is a white person, they would call me a racist. Okay. And I'm thinking like, okay, wait. So I'm saying let's have justice here instead of white supremacy, right? And because I'm saying I don't want white supremacy here, that that means I'm a racist. And back then I didn't quite understand what a racist was. Okay. I got a much more better understanding now, but back then I didn't. So it just occurred to me that what I view as white supremacy and what they view as white supremacy are two different things. See, when I'm saying white supremacy, I want to eliminate the behavior that is produced from the concept of white supremacy. That's what I'm my attempt. That's what I'm working against. I'm attempting to work against that. And sometimes I don't. I mean, mind you, I know, it's not always like that on my channel, and it's not going to be. Um, but I'm still going to do it whenever uh, I can, and it crosses me. And so here's the thing, right? Like okay, white supremacy what I mean by that is that there's a lot. I mean, a lot of black people, because I've seen them, I've talked to them, and I am one who accept information from white people as if it's the truth. And they don't accept it from white people as if it's the truth because they're people. They only accept the information from them because they are white people. There's huge numbers of white people out there who will not accept information from a black person as the truth. They will only accept the information as the truth from another white person. Most of the planet is like that from my observation. Most. And I just want to change that. My son really, really impressed me recently because last night he did a 4.5 hour podcast, he called it. 4.5 hours. He was going on as long as me. And a lot of people just asked him questions. He just answered a lot of questions. And I was really impressed because he gave everyone, I mean, all this time I've wanted people to see more of who he is. I wanted his audience to see more of who he is. And by them being able to ask the questions that they asked and him responding, they were able to get just that. They were able to clear up some things, right? It made me think, well, I got to do the same damn thing because, we have people. Oh, look, what he say? When Daybreak says, yeah, I was on that podcast. It was amazing. I sent in a few questions, but I never really got an answer, but it was fun seeing him just be genuine. Yeah, it really was. It really was fun. And I was going to have him on today, me and him. I should. I think I still will. I think I still will see if I can bring him down and we'll both do this together, answer some questions and stuff like that. But I wanted to express his conversation that he started. Like, he started a conversation basically that I don't want to end, and talking about the area of religions. Okay, now the other thing that I like about the code. I forgot. Okay, let me take you back to when I was a little one, right? Um, so I grew up in the Black Power movement, so-called Black Power movement in the Bay Area here. I was born in Oakland. My dad was a member of the original Black Panther Party. He was a photographer for their newspaper, and there were other organizations out here that operated in similar ways to the Black Panther Party, but they just didn't get the same type of notoriety or whatever because they weren't national like the Black Panther Party was, right? But my dad was a part of those organizations as well. But I kind of just grew up in a movement of, they always referred to my elders referred to themselves as revolutionaries, right? They called each other comrade and, and brother, but those elders, from that movement, they talked about the incorrect government, but they referred to it as the system. They always talked about the system. So at an early age in my mind, it was communicated to me that I have to find a way to beat the system. You know, I had a this, hustler type mindset where, you know, I needed to look for ways to get over on the system. Every time I get over on the system, I'm beating the system at its own game. Beat the system, beat the system. You know, so that was my mindset, and uh it led me to become a criminal in some aspects. I I've committed a number of crimes, as a youth, uh, thinking that it was the rebellious thing to do. Being a rebel, an outlaw, you know, that was like, and even the mindset at the time, because there was this movement going on. It was a number of movements, not just the Black Power movement was going on, but you also had this the Vietnam War was going on. People were protesting the Vietnam War, and a lot of people, including white people, no longer trusted the government the way they used to. If on a historical level, uh, you know, a president being assassinated uh, in that century was kind of unheard of, right? I mean, it happened to Lincoln, right? But they didn't even have a secret service when Lincoln was assassinated. Okay, so by the time JFK came around and they had the secret service, and everybody's, everywhere you look, you thinking you got the most advanced technology on the planet and everything. It's impossible for a president to be assassinated. He gets assassinated, and then it's uh, hinted that the government maybe have been behind it, that there's this conspiracy and everything. That changed the mindset of a lot of people, and then uh, not too long after that, Martin Luther King is assassinated. And Malcolm X is in between Kennedy and Martin Luther King, and then Robert Kennedy. Uh, and there was a lot of protesting going on. A lot of white people burning shit up too, burning shit down and tearing stuff up. The young white kids, and they came. That's when they were being introduced to mushrooms and weed, and marijuana stuff. And people was, and around that same time too came the so-called sexual revolution. So there was a lot of influences going on at that time, and so uh a lot of the influences were along the lines of being rebellious to the system, right? So I kind of that's the environment I grew up in. So my mindset has always been beat the system, be against the system, right? Because the system, I could see how unjust the system was. I could see what the system has done to Black people. I could see what the system has done to people classified as non-white. I could even see what the system has done to some white people. I can see what it's done to them. I can see how the system has messed over people all over this planet. And at some point in my existence, I figured that that was going to be my life goal. Like it was everybody else's goal to, it was your goal to be a firefighter. It was your goal to be in law enforcement. It was your goal to be a teacher, or your goal to be a doctor, or your goal to be a lawyer. Well, my goal was to beat the system. That was my goal. Like I wanted to be the one. I used to pray all the time, when I was praying to the white Jesus, I was still praying, asking Jesus to help me find a way to stop all the hurt and the pain that goes on in the world. I remember having that type of mindset. as a little boy. It's just never been, I've never been settled with the way people are on this planet and the way they treat one another. It's never been settling, you know. And I remember having a conversation with Mr. Fuller and him saying that that might be the reason why babies cry. That, you know, the child already knows what they're getting ready to get into and they're crying because they already know they're coming into a world of injustice, you know. But I can't seem to think about really doing anything else. And listening to my son last night just really, really made me see, like, you know, this is the thing to do. This is what we have to talk about, right? We, you know, I don't have anything worse to do, you know, than to sit here and talk to you, you know, giving you my opinion, expressing my opinion, and hoping that you are so moved by what I'm talking about that you will like, share, and subscribe. You know, that's what I would hope that you do. You know, if you someone that I mean, I guess they don't even talk about beating the system anymore. But when I picked up the code book and it said the system of racism, white supremacy, I was like, yeah, that is what it is. I already knew just from studying history, the history that white people have offered me, have given me. This is information that was written by white people that talks about how the English, the Spanish, the French, the Portuguese conquered the whole planet. They conquered the whole planet. Okay? Everywhere on the planet where there was people and land, they took the people and the land. Okay? That is a fact. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not my opinion. It's a fact. And in all those places, the way that they made sure that they ruled the people, which they noticed were mostly non-white, was by establishing a system that put white people on top and non-white people on the bottom. It's that simple. It's really that simple. There's nowhere on this planet. Well, I'm sticking my neck out there and assuming it was. I haven't been everywhere. I've only been to, where have I been? A lot of people think they look at Alaska, even though Alaska is a state of the United States. They look at Alaska as almost if it's another country. But I've been to Alaska. When I was there, I saw white people on the top, non-white people on the bottom. I've been to Jamaica. When I was there, I saw white people on the top. I saw non-white people on the bottom. I've been to Grenada. When I was there, I saw white people on the top, non-white people on the bottom. Let's see, Cuba, Panama, Canada, Barbados, all of those places that I just meant, Mexico, all of those places that I'm mentioning to you, white people on the top and non-white people on the bottom. And amongst the non-white people, black people at the bottom of them. All over this planet were the places I've been. Now, I've heard from other people. I remember hearing Dr. Khalid Muhammad, talk about going to Mecca and seeing white people on the top and black people on the bottom. Okay. I've heard people say in Israel, white people are on the top and non-white people are on the bottom. I've heard them say that all different black people I've met who's gone to these different places, even in Africa, white people are on the top and black people are on the bottom. Now, it doesn't appear that way to some of you because you think because you see a black person in the political position that means that they're on top. But it doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. The black person that's in politics, is pretty much at the whim of the people who are in power. So surely you don't think that that Congress, the president, and the Supreme Court are all you think they're the ultimate power? They're not the ultimate power. It's the wealthy people, the extremely smart and powerful white people who are backing them, who they're appealing to. I heard, I believe Richard Nixon referred to it as the silent majority. I believe that's what he referred to it as. I'm suspecting that's who we're talking about here. Or maybe they could be called the silent minority, because the majority of white people, it appears to me, they have less money than the group of white people that I'm speaking of, but they usually have more money than black people. Anyway, when it comes to, if you think about so the way the main thing that I liked about the code, not only did he call it the code, he referred to it as the system of racism, white supremacy, which cleared up some confusion for me. Okay, because if I just refer to it as the system, it's much more difficult for me to figure out what I'm focusing on when I'm trying to beat the system, when I'm trying to eliminate the system, right? The system, what kind of system? What is a system? What does a system do? Right? These are the things you should look up. I implore you to look it up. Google it real quick. What does a system do? What is a system? And then once you see that and you connect it to racism, white supremacy, at least for me, when I made that connection, it cleared up a whole lot of stuff for me, because then I didn't have to say colonialism, because colonialism is racism. I didn't have to say imperialism, because imperialism is racism. I didn't have to say capitalism, because capitalism is racism. I didn't have to say communism. I didn't have to say socialism, because they are racism. As long as the system of racism, white supremacy exists, all of those ideals have been, they've all been pretty much used to support the system of racism, white supremacy. But anyway, I realized that because, adding the words racism, white supremacy to the system of racism, white supremacy, or the system of white supremacy, it helped me get more of a direction, more of a focus, right? And so I got the focus. Now I'm looking at the system and I'm saying, gosh, the system of racism, white supremacy is huge. There's so much going on. Where do I start? Right? But further in the code, Mr. Fuller just being a victim of racism, white supremacy, in his attempt to replace white supremacy with a system of justice, he came up with an observation, which is that the system of racism, white supremacy is divided up into 9 major areas of people activity. 9, right? So when you look at something vast and big, right? There's an old African proverb that says, "How do you eat an elephant?" Right? And the response is piece by piece. That's how you eat an elephant, right? So when you look at something as vast as the system of racism, white supremacy, and it's pieced up into 9 parts: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, then we're able to really look at something and see to me a connection, right? Like every time you receive information, majority of the time you receive information, however you get it, if it's, if you're getting it on, through media, through social media, which is pretty much the main way everybody is getting information now. It appears to me anyway. But even if the information is coming to you through television, that information can be divided up into 9 major areas, because you receive information in the area of economics, right? What are the issues these days that they got us discussing in the area of economics? They got us talking about reparations. They got us talking about inflation. They got us talking about a recession. They got us talking about your personal finances, your income, your 401k, your investments. There's a whole lot of talk about investing these days, right? All of that comes under the area of economics. Time management, trying to, really stick to a schedule, that's all of that comes under the area of economics. Then we're talking about education. What's the don't teach critical race theory in the schools. We shouldn't have it there. Yes, we should. No, we shouldn't. Yes, we should. No, we shouldn't. Critical race theory, the area of education, right? Then in the area of, let's see, we got economics, education, then we have entertainment. Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, and the latest thing is Johnny Depp and what's her name, Amber Heard or something like that. That's entertainment. Young Duck or Buck or somebody in the this suffer what, catching charges or something. Well, that's the area of entertainment, right? Then we have, after that, labor. What else? What do you hear about all the time? Unemployment, the employment rate, the job rate, the unions, whether you should have a union, where you shouldn't have a union. Immigrants are taking our jobs. No, they're not. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Yes, they are. All of that comes under labor. Then, law. We would you got you can put Johnny Depp and Amber Heard in there. What else we talk about? You can throw reparations up in there, up under law. You could throw immigration up in there. what else? Abortion. There's a whole bunch of topics that come under the area of law, right? So we got after laws, what? Labor law, politics. Oh, goddamn. Politics. Name the politicians: Joe Biden, Donald Trump, uh, uh, what's her name? Kamala Harris, Al Sharpton. This is what you hear, right? So that's politics. Are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? You a liberal? You a conservative? That all of that is going on in the area of politics, and then sex. I mean, man, right? We see that all over Instagram, right? I mean, the implication, the don't want to say implication. I don't know if that's the right word I'm trying to use. But the message, is always sent on Instagram and OnlyFans or whatever. We hear all this stuff in the area of sex, and then we have war, right? Is Ukraine and Russia, and all of these there's information that comes at you on a weekly basis, at least every week, that falls into one or more of those categories. So looking at that really helped me. I was like, okay, all right, so here's the way I could break up the system now, right? And see, the unique thing about the code is there's too many. I think there's a lot of people out there that think that the slave master, some of the laws that they had, the slave codes, if you've been with me since the beginning today, and we're talking about how rules can change a person's behavior, right? Well, they had slave codes that were designed to force Black people to be second class or lower class, substandard to white people. Meaning, if like reckless eyeballing, for example, if you were a slave or Black person who looked at a white person directly, eye to eye, it was considered against the law in some places. You could be beat down. Some of y'all, oh yeah, well, not me. Well, you have to understand that it was a trend back then. That was something that everybody was doing. And most likely, I bet you, if I saw you right now, if you showed me a picture, I bet you I could point some things out to you that you do because you're Black, or that you think you're supposed to do because you're Black, which is the same thing. These were things that Black people thought they were supposed to do. They were taught that this is what they were supposed to do. And it became such a habit that no one knew of any other kind of way, because it's just a behavior that's passed on. Just like me in the house, and I'm learning how to cuss by watching my parents cuss. See, the difference between my house, the house that my parents set the rules in, and the house that the white boys' parents set the rules in, the only difference was in who was allowed to do what. See, in their house, they cussed. Everybody cussed in their house. Everybody cussed in their house. In my house, the only person who couldn't cuss was me. So there was a difference. It was a difference there. And that's the way it worked with slavery. And that's the way it works. It continues to work today, because most of us are still practicing behaviors that we inherited from slavery. These are behaviors that just passed down to us from generation to generation. And to me, fighting white supremacy is fighting against those behaviors, like looking within ourselves and eliminating those behaviors. You shouldn't have to be anywhere having a conversation. If you want to talk about white people, you shouldn't have to whisper it. If you want to have a conversation about white people, I'm just talking about having a conversation about white people. You shouldn't have to be looking all over your shoulders, up under the floor and everything to see if white people are listening before you could feel comfortable enough to say something. You shouldn't. And I'm suspecting these days, I keep hearing some white people saying that they can't say certain things around black people or whatever. I don't know where that really comes from. Well, maybe it comes from watching all the social media and everything, but just like what I watched my son express last night, I don't have an issue with what anyone says. I don't care enough, or I'm not concerned enough to believe that the words that they say deserve my power. I don't have to give words power unless I choose to. Now where the difference comes in is the racist white supremacists have taught many of us to give our power to words without teaching us how to discriminate. Look up the word discriminate, okay? Because there's a lot of confusion around that word. Discrimination is, hey, if I choose to walk to the store over driving to the store, I'm discriminating against driving to the store, okay? Discrimination is a choice. It's the act of choosing, or it could be the act of not choosing, right? No, I guess it's always choice, but it's if you choose no or choose yes. So when it came to slavery, though, our ancestors didn't have a choice. Those who were enslaved, they didn't have a choice. They had to, walk a very, very thin line, or be tortured or killed if they stepped off that line. We don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to walk that thin line anymore. See, and that's where a lot of, to me, see, the Ku Klux Klan, the purpose of the Ku Klux Klan, many of you think that the Ku Klux Klan was an organization that was that was made because somebody just said, oh, we hate niggers. We hate black people. We hate everything black. So let's just hang them from trees and burn crosses in their yards. Yeah. While we drink some beer and give the rebel yell. That's far from that. The Ku Klux Klan was far from that. Okay. They were a domestic terrorist organization, and their job was to make sure that black people remained in their place, their second class place. If you were in your second class place, the Ku Kluxers was fine with you. They'd even let you come in their house and fry them some chicken. They wouldn't care. Because you second class. You running that mindset. Hey, son, I changed my mind. You mind coming in later? If you get on my stream? Sure. Okay. Oh, let me grab. Pardon me, y'all, real quick. I gotta grab me some of this yerba mate. The whole purpose of the Ku Klux Klan was to keep black people from being uppity. Okay? That was the purpose. They terrorized any black people that were seeking to improve on their conditions, meaning they saw things they saw white people doing and having. They thought they could do it too. It was the Klan's job to come up and say, oh no, you can't do this. This is what white people do, not black people. Just research the Klan. You know, maybe I'll do it for you one day, but I'm tired of that. I'm just gonna tell it to you. You believe me or not. That's it. But that was the purpose. Now the later Klan, okay, you have to understand there was two types of clans. Okay, there were two Klan movements. There was the one that was the real one, that the one that was doing the major terrorizing, right? Which helped to establish the Jim Crow system. Okay, that disbanded. That one disbanded after they established the system to make sure that all the newly freed slaves didn't get any smart ideas. After they were sufficient, where they felt that they had gotten to the point to where it was on automatic and they didn't have to deal with uppity black people anymore, they disbanded. They were done. Okay. It was only after the original movie called The Birth of the Nation, which was about the Ku Klux Klan, which was about the original Ku Klux Klan that disbanded, that it became a trend. It was the movie. Two things going on about that movie. First off, it was I believe it was the first motion picture to be that long. I believe, if I can't remember, but there was a lot of things about that movie that had never been done before in movies. So it had a tremendous impact on people here in the United States at the time. I'm suspecting, white people. Let's just say white people had a tremendous impact on white people. And that gave some opportunists a way to make some money. Okay, so you had white people who were out there that decided to capitalize off what they saw going on in the movie, and they decided to make their own Klan organizations. They started their Ku Klux Klan organizations. See, where the Ku Klux Klan, what y'all don't know is that the founder of the Klan, of the second Klan, right, was a salesperson. He found a way to make some money. So you think they just give the Klan members those robes? The Ku Kluxers have to pay for the robes, y'all. If a Klan member, when they join a Klan, they have to pay for the robes. And there's other things. There's Klan rings. There's Klan books. There's a Klan newspaper. My dad was a Ku Klux Klan member. That's one of the things he was doing when we, in the late 70s and 80s. I think it was like around 1978, 77, 78. We saw a documentary on television where some Ku Kluxers was teaching their children, right? Their grandchildren. They had on camouflage gear, and they were teaching them military tactics, right? And I was about 8 years old, and I remember watching, and one of the boys, the newscaster put the microphone to the little boy, and he was laying on the ground. He's prone with a gun, shooting at targets, right? And they're out in the woods, but he's shooting at targets. And he's 8, like me. And the newscaster says, "Hey, how old are you?" He says, "I'm 8." And he says, well, what are you doing? Why are you out here? Well, Grandpa says one day it's going to be a race war and we're going to have to kill us some niggers. So we're out here training for it. And I remember my dad was standing right there, and I looked at him, and he, he looked back at me, and got his eyes got a little bit big, and he said, "Well, we gonna be prepared for him," or something like that. How did he say that? He said, something like, "We're gonna be prepared for him." And after that, we started training. And the first thing one of the things he did was join the Ku Klux Klan. It was by mail. Tom Metzger was the Grand Dragon. He was out here in California. It was the California Ku Klux Klan. And my dad compiled a list of all the Ku Kluxers, and they had a newspaper. So, and you had membership dues. The Klan, would pay membership dues. You subscribe to the paper. So you're paying money for the paper. And the paper would advertise all the different Klan members' businesses. Then these businesses weren't, even though the Klan member was there, the Klan member didn't express to everybody that it was a Klan-owned business. Like in San Pablo at the time, this was the city that was right next to Richmond. There was a Klan. It was a tattoo shop that was there. That the owner of that tattoo shop was a Klan member. Black people could go in there and get tattoos, and he didn't say nothing. He'd give them tattoos, whatever tattoos they wanted. He didn't say nothing about being a Klan member. But we knew he was a Klan member because, my dad had the list. So, and there was plenty of other businesses all around the Bay Area. But anyway, I'm saying to you that the second Ku Klux Klan was a money-making operation. The main thing was to sell stuff to other Klan members, and have gatherings. They burn the cross or whatever. Every organization has rituals. Every organization, if this organization is going to be, look, we're talking about rules here, rules and behavior, but every organization, if it's going to be about something, right, it's going to have some type of change in your behavior that's going to make you stand out in the organization. Okay, so the Ku Kluxers gave other white people who I guess who were under the impression or wanted to believe that they were doing something in support of white supremacy, will go ahead and join that type of group. Now, the thing about it is none of the Ku Klux Klans were, there was no, so before Birth of a Nation, there was one Ku Klux Klan organization. It was just the one. Okay. It disbanded. After it disbanded, when Birth of a Nation came out, after Birth of a Nation and the trend of being a Ku Kluxer, became the style, they had Klan groups all over the country. There was not just one. So that meant a white person could start like the California Ku Klux Klan. The California Ku Klux Klan was the California Ku Klux Klan. It wasn't the Alabama Ku Klux Klan. It wasn't the Mississippi Ku Klux Klan. They were, the only connection they shared was that they were called Ku Klux Klan. But the Klan leader of the California Klan was not the Klan leader of the Alabama Klan. You see what I'm saying here? Or the United Klans of America, which was the biggest Ku Klux Klan organization because it expanded. It had chapters all over the place. I think when it was, I forgot the name of the other Klan organization, but the leader at the time was Bill Wilkins, and Tom Metzger was under him. The California was the chapter. I think this was the chapter of a larger Klan organization that was headed by this guy named Bill Wilkinson. But then they had a dispute, and Tom Metzger's chapter became its own clan, its own group, right? So, but and anyway, I'm just saying this to say that these were like kind of like little cash cows, you know, um, for making money. But the original one was designed to change the behaviors of black people to make sure that they were in, some type of subservient position. You know, well, you could take an example like what was the situation? I know a lot of the lynchings that were done because not because of the black person just being black, but it was because the black person had something they wanted. Like if there was land that they wanted, right? And they, try to scare the black person off the land. And if that didn't work, they lynch him and get somebody in the county to, sign on the death certificate, death unknown or whatever, right? Who was gonna listen to him? Nobody was gonna listen to the black people that witnessed it. So they could put whatever they want to on a death certificate. But the land, it might have been that they were after the land, or it could be a business. Like I remember this one incident, Ida B. Wells. If you want to know a lot about lynching, Google Ida B. Wells, look up Ida B. Wells and her writings. Anything that Ida B. Wells wrote about pretty much was about the lynchings that were happening and all the reasons why black people were being lynched. But none of them was because of hate. Not one. There's not one record of a lynching where it said these white people killed this they lynched this black person because they hated them. Okay. There was always a reason. Hate is an emotion that is too general. It's really, there's so many circumstances that could fall under, so many circumstances that could be called hate, and it would look like it was hate to you, but it really wasn't hate if you found out the details. It only looks as if it's hate to you because hate, I guess the way hate is presented, the term hate or the word hate, um its definition is not uh one definition. I'm suspecting. So anyway, um if you don't allow the words that you use to have power, or I guess some words have to have some power, if you want a word to mean something to you. But to me, there's some words that you just don't have to you just don't have to give them a lot of attention, you know. But now in the area of religion, one of the things when I was watching Thizz last night, he was talking about religion, and he said, I think he was asked if he was a Christian, and he said he wasn't, and he basically was communicating that um, he has no issue with any religion, right? And the message that's been communicated, right? Like, okay, so his last name is Muhammad, right? So the message that's been communicated to all of you is that anybody who has the last name Muhammad, that means that they're Muslim. They have to be Muslim if their last name is Muhammad. Yet you have a lot of people out there who have Christian names, and nobody assumes that they're Christian just because they have a Christian name, but Muslim. He's got, really, to be truthful, he does not have a Muslim name. He has an Arabic name. Okay. Not all Arabs are Muslims. Some Arabs are Christians. Christian Arabs refer to God as Allah. Did you know that? Did you know that Christian Arabs refer to God as Allah? Because Allah is not a name, it's a description. Allah is a description. It's not a name. It means God. I mean, well, I guess, someone who speaks Arabic would tell you that it means more than God, really. It means more than God. It's like supreme God, like the supreme God of all gods is Allah. But that's what it means. It's not a name. It's not like, God said, I'm going to name myself Allah, and I want everyone to call me that. That's not it. That's not the way it works. That's not what happened. It's just like if I want to say God in Spanish is Dios. It's Dios. So I wouldn't say God's name is Dios, but I speak Spanish, and if I'm talking to people and I say, well, God's name is Dios. You see what I'm saying? God, Dios, and Allah all mean the same thing. So being an Arab is a nationality. It's a nationality. They have white Arabs, they have non-white Arabs. They have Muslim Arabs, they have Christian Arabs. Do you get what I'm saying here? But you've been conditioned, so many of you have been conditioned to believe that because Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, that's the founder of Islam. Muhammad is his name. Ibn means son. And Abdullah is Abdullah. Most of you know as Abdullah, right? Muhammad's dad's name was Abdullah. So back in those days, they didn't have last names. It was a tradition amongst the Arabs to refer to themselves as the son of or daughter of. That was their last name. So Muhammad ibn Abdullah is the son of Abdullah. But before Islam came about, he had the name Muhammad. Do you understand what I'm saying? It wasn't like he started Islam and then he said, well, because I'm starting Islam, I'm going to name myself Muhammad. Muhammad was there first. The name Muhammad existed first before Islam. So his last name is Muhammad because I did at a time practice Islam, and I took on the name Muhammad because of Elijah Muhammad, okay, who was not a prophet. He referred to himself as a messenger because Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah was referred to as the last prophet, okay? In Islam, whenever they talk about Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, some people call him Muhammad of 1400 years ago, okay, because he came 600 years after Jesus Christ. That Muhammad has always been referred to as the last prophet because the message of Islam is that this was God's last time of giving the people of the world a chance to be his people. And he promoted the message through Prophet Muhammad. So, many years later, you have the founder of the Nation of Islam, Master Farad Muhammad, give the name Muhammad to Elijah Poole, who, he had a couple of other names before that Wallace Farad Muhammad gave him, but Farad Muhammad gave him, one of the names was the name Muhammad. So he became Elijah Muhammad. Okay. And he always referred to himself as a messenger of Allah, not a prophet, a messenger. Now, I guess some people would say that they mean the same thing, but I don't know. I'm just telling you what I was told when I was in there. So me being in there, thinking that I could, of course, when I joined the Nation of Islam, and I was a Muslim, Let it be known. Like, people still think I'm a Muslim and associate me wearing all white with that. But let me read the comments real quick. When day breaks, well, not like not caring, but I wish people weren't raised into this stuff to see people as worse. That's kind of upsetting how there's the thought of a race war at all. I wish nobody cared. I think about if the next generation wasn't raised with the concept of racism, would it repeat history? Like, if nobody knew anything about it and there was nobody raised by racists and shit, that's kind of upsetting how there's the... Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Okay. You don't make things go away by not talking about it. Okay. That's not how you solve problems. All right. If you if let's see, let's think about this for a minute. Okay. If someone is causing you a problem, right? Somebody's causing you a problem, and every time you're around them, the problem gets worse. Now, they don't know that they're causing you a problem because you haven't expressed to them. You haven't said nothing about it, right? But they're causing you some problems. And you, on the other hand, from their point of view, you're causing them some problems too, but they stop talking about it too. So both of you are causing each other's problems, and you don't talk about it. You don't tell each other that you have problems. Will the problems go away? Will the problems go away if you don't communicate to another person that they are causing you a problem? How does that make the problem go away? And the thing is, do you mean the next generation of whites? What's kind of upsetting how there's the thought. Okay, so this is the other thing I want to say is the race war has already started. Okay. The race war started probably 2,000 years ago. Okay. We're just in the continuance of it. We're in the continuance of it. And those who choose to practice and maintain the system of racism, white supremacy, are using words to do it. Okay. First off, if you do the investigating, you'll find that there's no such thing as a race of people. There's no such thing. None of us can fit. Well, well, because we're in a system of racism, white supremacy, there is a white race. Okay. The only race on the planet that functions the way a true race should function is the white race. And that's because it's backed by the system of racism, white supremacy. It's more than a concept. Okay. It's more than a concept. The unfortunate thing is that you cannot see it unless you do some investigating. It's a very difficult thing to see, because the only way you can see it is by studying the words we use. So the information that's communicated to us, the stuff I just talked about. So in the area of politics, let's just look at the area of politics for a few minutes. Okay. On one side of the area of politics, you have liberals. On the other side of the area of politics, you have conservatives. Liberals are Democrats, right? And conservatives are Republicans. Those are two sides, right? What are the issues that they discuss, that they talk about? What are the issues that they talk about? Usually, okay, the most recent issue is the Texas shooting. That's the most recent issue, right? Prior to that, it was the Tops grocery store shooting that happened in Buffalo, New York, right? Prior to that. Prior to that, it's what? I mean, in the area of politics, when it comes to the liberals and the conservatives, what's the issue that's always discussed? Gun control. You guys think gun control is new? They was discussing gun control when I was a little boy. Okay. I'm 54 years old. I'm going to be 54 years old this year. And when they talk about gun control, what's the underlying issue that happens around gun control? Right? If you really think about it, there's they always have these campaigns and programs in the neighborhood, the so-called black neighborhoods, the areas where there's mostly non-white people at, where they're collecting the guns. The police, they give you a time, a week or so, and they say, hey, you can bring your guns, you can drop your guns off at the law enforcement station with no questions asked. You just drop them off, right? They're not doing that in an area that has a lot of white people in them, right? And then what's the other issue is crime, right? Isn't there's always, the crime is always discussed. Is what I'm trying to say to you is that the issue of race is discussed every single day, right? So if you want to, if the issue of race is discussed every single day, then you're already talking about racism, right? If you make a comment, you say, I want all the races on the planet to unify and work together. That sentence in itself is in cooperation with racism, because you're pushing the concept that the people of the world are divided up into races, and that is a racist concept. Does that make sense? Do you see what I'm saying? If you see all the people on this planet as a different race, if you see all these different people on the planet and you say, well, that's my race, that's my race and that's their race, and that, just looking at all the people on this planet as divided up into some type of race is racism. That when you do the research, you'll find that whole division concept, that all of that was used for practicing racism. There's no other reason for dividing people up into races other than to practice racism. Okay. And racism is white supremacy. But when it comes to religion, uh, I took on the name Muhammad because that was a name that a lot of members of the Nation of Islam started taking on, and I legally changed my name. So because I legally changed my name to Muhammad, by the time uh, Johanse came around, he got the name, but he doesn't know anything about being a Muslim because I had pretty much stopped practicing being a Muslim by then. So what does the code say? The code, one of the things, well, before I got to the code, I had already developed this concept. Even when I was a Muslim, I had already developed a concept that God is in every religion. Whatever religion has a supreme being, that supreme being is the same supreme being that's in every other religion. That supreme being might be mentioned by a different name or a different word. They may have a different word to express that supreme being. But when that supreme being is described in whatever religion it is, that supreme being is the supreme being. It has all the power in the universe. So, and if there's only one, then that one can be recognized in all religions. And that was pretty much the conclusion I had come to when I had become a Muslim. I didn't join the Nation of Islam because I was trying to promote Islam and make people Muslims. I thought that the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad were going to help free Black people, so we could fight the system. That's the main thing I was looking at. But anyway, I legally changed my name to an Arabic name, and I just didn't want to go through that process again, you know. But it's amazing how, because the information that the racist white supremacist has communicated, because of that information, you think whenever you see the name Muhammad that means that person is a Muslim, right? Now, there's other Muslim names that have become so common with Black people that a lot of people don't even recognize them as Muslim names anymore, like Rashad. There's a lot of Black people out there named Rashad, and nobody, when they hear the name Rashad, they don't even think that person is a Muslim. you know Kareem, a lot of Kareems out there. People when they hear Kareem, they don't think that person's a Muslim. Jamila, that's a real one. I've met a lot of Jamilas, and nobody thought that person was a Muslim. Or Karima, same thing with Karima. But anyway, like I said before, I was really impressed by this boy's video and what he was saying about religion. And so the code says that if you recognize God in all religions, you could call yourself an eclectic pluralist. So I said, okay, I like that term, eclectic pluralist. So see, when I'm out and about, I don't have to try to push, the religion that I'm into, right now, that I'm into studying right now, is Lukumi. Okay, that's a commonly referred to, the racist white supremacists gave it the name Santeria, right? But those who practice it call it Lukumi. And so practicing that has helped me, learn a lot about that religion, but I'm not trying to push it. Like, I'm not on here saying, okay, we need more Lukumi practitioners and you should follow this, you practice it. It's it's an African religion, and it's more nature based, but it still recognizes a supreme being. The supreme being in Lukumi is called Oludumare. 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 Right? Um, but I'm not here trying to seek converts like, the way, when I was in the Nation of Islam, or, practicing Muslim, it's a part of the uh, faith to go out and bring more Muslims in. It's a part of the, just like, I guess if you're active in a Christian church, it's the same thing. You got to go out and bring in more members, trying to, convert people over. Do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? Do you accept, how's it, that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger? Those are the the things that they would have you say, right? And of course, if the answer is no, then that person who believes in those statements will, try to ram them down your throat until you become a part of, you start believing it, right? And see, I like the one time I was having a conversation with Mr. Fuller about this, and he was saying that his response whenever someone is trying to convert him or introduce him to a new religion is he's heard the message before, right? And I thought about that. I thought about all the years. It's not to mention that I was, brought up as a Christian in the household, right? My mother was a Baptist. My father was Episcopalian. So, and we had Bibles in the house, and my mom had me praying all the time. And, so I know, the message of Christianity is Jesus died for your sins, and you need to accept him as your Lord and Savior if you want to get to heaven. That's the bottom line message, right? And I know that the message of Islam is that Prophet Muhammad is the last prophet of Allah, and you need to accept him and Allah as God. And there's some pillars, right? They have these things that are called pillars of Islam, right? You must fast, and you must pray, and you must pay charity, and those things are the requirements that are supposed to keep you a Muslim, right? But even the original Muslims who followed Prophet Muhammad don't exist. They don't exist anymore. All the groups of Muslims that are out there right now are just that, groups, and they're various groups. They don't even all agree on how to practice Islam. They all have their own different ways. And you already know that about Christianity. I just mentioned my dad being Episcopalian and my mom being Baptist. That alone should let you know that those are two different types of Christians, right? I imagine, I look at Baptists. If you think about the Southern Baptists that my mother grew up in, that's barefoot in the church, hollering and screaming, and getting what they call it, talking in tongues, and what's the other thing, catching the Holy Ghost. That's the Baptist side of things. And then the Episcopalian side is, they dress in suits and dresses, and the Baptist is like, Lord, or something like that. And the Episcopals is just Lord, ain't no stomping and clapping and nothing, no hollering and yes, Jesus, and yes, Lord. And he got the whole, it's not going to be none of that in the Episcopalians. All of the priests and Episcopalians, they wear, uh, it's just like the Catholics. They have robes and all these different, kind of, distinguished, just uniforms of type things that, distinguish them from the flock, so to speak. But anyway, that religion and the assumptions that we make that go along with them. Like, I can remember years ago when I first started practicing Islam, and a lot of females that I would encounter who knew nothing about real Islam they would look at me with their nose up in the air and be like, "Oh, you want to have more than one wife. You gonna try to make me one of your wives. You don't want me to. I'm not gonna be one of your wives. You know that, don't you? Or you ain't gonna make me walk 10 feet behind you. Some stuff like that, which was something they picked up somewhere, but it wasn't the truth. Just because people practice Islam doesn't mean that they have to have more than one wife, right? There's a lot of Muslim males out there who they don't want to have more than one wife, you know, uh, and the same thing with the whole 10 feet behind, walking 10 feet behind. That's in certain countries, I think. I don't know. I've or certain tribes or something, but I've never seen any Muslims practicing that. So that's definitely, I think that's I don't know. And then there's a lot of people who would be Muslims that you wouldn't think of Muslims. There's Chinese Muslims. I can remember when I was practicing Islam and we were in the hospital. My first attempted wife, who was Muslim at the time, when we had our child at the hospital, my daughter, um, the nurse there, right, revealed to us that she was Muslim. She didn't have on a hair, she wasn't wearing a see in Orthodox Islam, they call it a hijab, right? But black people and a lot of other Muslims who don't speak Arabic, even though they're Muslims, we don't usually speak Arabic or refer to things in Arabic terms. We would just call it a headdress, right? Or a scarf, just to cover your head. She didn't have that. So we wouldn't have known she was a Muslim if she hadn't said anything, right? But she was Chinese. And we were there, and she waited until, I guess she waited until her the doctors or whoever left or whatever. I don't know. I guess maybe she didn't want them to know she was Muslim. I don't know. But I just know the room was cleared. It was just me. It was the three of us, and she said, "Assalamu alaikum," and our mouths was on the floor. We was like, "What?" Because we heard that there were people all over the planet who were Muslims, but to actually meet one was different. To actually meet a person who was Chinese and Muslim was mind blowing, right? We heard, like I said, you heard of it, but then to meet them, and I've met people from the Philippines who call themselves Muslims. I met people from I met people from what was the name of that place? It was a part of the USSR at the time, so which was, I guess you could call it Russian or something, but they were white, who were Muslims. There's being a Muslim doesn't have anything to do with what you look like. It has nothing to do with your name. It has nothing to do with what you look like. It has everything to do with what you believe. And I think that's where a lot of these discrepancies are coming in, and it's connected to racism, because a part of the confusion, the way racism, white supremacy operates, it operates off of deception. Okay. So the whole idea is to toss a term at you and tell you this is what this term means. Right. So I'll give you another uh wild situation. Okay. I had a friend. So, growing up in Richmond, by my time there, I ended up having a lot of associates who were Spanish speakers. Okay. I'm not going to call them Latinos. I'm not going to call them Hispanics. Um, I'm just going to say they were Spanish speakers. They had Spanish first names and last names, and they spoke Spanish fluently. Okay. So, and since I'm talking about it, one of my longtime associates, I found out, just passed away on Wednesday night. You know, um, it was a Puerto Rican family that lived behind me when I was growing up, and uh, recently he passed away, and so uh, but how he looked, okay, the way his skin looked and his hair, like the way he looked, and the same thing with the this other associate who was Nicaraguan. Okay. Uh the Nicaraguan guy, so we're talking about 1980, 1981. Okay. And the Iran hostage situation was going down. Okay. Iran, many of you don't even know what that was all about. Okay. But so the leader of Iran, this was in the 70s, he was called the Shah of Iran. Okay, the Shah. The Shah was like a so-called king. So Iran had a monarchy. Okay, and the Shah of Iran was the head of that monarchy. All right. Well, he had his family, they had control of all of the wealth in Iran. Okay, which, and Iran has um a large amount of oil. There's a a great portion of the oil uh that the world gets its gas from comes from Iran. Okay. And so the Shah had control over that. Well, the Shah of Iran was having, uh, I believe he needed surgery, and the type of surgery that he needed, he could only get done in the United States. So he left the United States to come to the United, he left Iran to come to the United States. I believe he went to Texas to get this particular surgery. Well, while he was there in Texas, the students of Iran who were tired of being mistreated by the operatives of the incorrect government in Iran. They were tired of being mistreated. They were tired of seeing. I'm suspecting the stuff that they were saying was that the Shah was controlling all the wealth, and all the people there were poor and being mistreated or whatever. So the students decided that they wanted to take over the government, and they were led by someone called the Ayatollah Khomeini at the time. And so when they took over the government, saying they didn't want to follow the Shah, they didn't want the Shah to be their leader anymore, but they wanted the Shah. They wanted the Shah to face war crimes. Okay, they wanted to try him in a court for all of the mistreatment that the people of Iran were going through. Okay, so he's in the United States when they take over. All right, now the United States is saying they're not going to send the Shah back to Iran. Okay. So the students in Iran decide that they're going to take over the embassy, the United States embassy, because they wanted to hold the hostages, hold the people there hostage in exchange for getting the Shah of Iran back. Okay. And I believe the president at the time was Jimmy Carter. Okay. But Jimmy Carter, and his administration or whatever, Congress and all of them decided they didn't want the Shah to go back to Iran, right? So they continued to hold on to hostages. One of the first things that the people of Iran did, there were black people there in that embassy. Okay. Do you know that when they took over the embassy, they announced that the black people had suffered enough during slavery and racism from the United States, and they didn't want to hold those black people hostage, so they let the black hostages go. They let the black hostages go. The people of Iran who took over the new government decided that they wanted, took over the old government, established a new one, decided that they did not want black people to be a part of their disagreement. They felt that black people didn't have nothing to do with it, so they released them. Now, when they talk about the hostage situation, they don't talk about that anymore. You don't really see that, but the information is out there. It's out there. But those people, when they did that, they were considered to, a lot of Iranians are Muslims. Okay. They are Shia Muslims. The Ayatollah that took over, he was the leader of a particular group of Muslims that call themselves Shia, right? Shia means law. That's the Arabic term for law. And they're extremely conservative, right? They're very Shia. A lot of Shia Muslims want to, follow everything to the law, which are a number of laws that were established by judges that they interpret the Quran in a way to establish these different laws that they want to practice. Wait, is this testing? Can y'all hear me good? Can you hear me good? So what ended up happening though was the Shah died. Now, this is what I want to say. Okay, so when the Iran thing started happening, okay, you started having a lot of Ku Kluxers and white people expressing themselves on the news. Mindset of white people in the 70s and 80s is totally different now. Okay. These days, it appears as if white people are afraid to speak their minds. Okay. But in the 70s and 80s, white people didn't give a damn. They spoke their minds. They were calling Iranians sand niggers. Okay. It was the first time I heard the term, and I thought, wow, which made me believe that Iranians were black. If I'm a nigger and they're called niggers, they're niggers too, right? But they're called sand niggers. So, okay. Well, that's how I looked at them. Okay. But my associate from Nicaragua, so let's see if we could do this. This is what we're going to do. We are going to share. Wait a minute. Why is that like that? Oh, this thing is tripping. Hold on. Why is all my screens looking like that? Okay, I need to open this up. Hold on 1 second here. Because what I want to show you. Oh, shucks. Hey, Hanse, what you doing now? Nothing. Can you want to join in? To Discord? How do I send it to Discord? That's you got me on that. Okay. Gmail. Bicker. Okay, sent. It's sent. Okay, so this is what I want to do. Why is it? I want to go. What I want to go? Let's do this. Iranian images. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so let's put it on, which is interesting too, as a matter of fact, because the colors are the same. Notice how, so you know the Mexican flag has these same colors: green, white, and red. Okay, but now let's type in Mexican, and let's see if we can find something. Say, okay, well there's the Mexican flag. You can see them colors: green, white, and red. I want to see if I can find a picture that's similar. Maybe we'll just go. Maybe we'll just stick with this one. Okay. Oh hell, that ain't right. Can't do with that one. Let's do this. Did you click on it? I sent it to you. Will we see the picture? Okay, well, just look. Okay, so click on that. So see the, so here we have the Iranian, and then we have the Mexican. The Iranian, the Mexican. See how they look the same? Right? And so, and these are the images that we keep getting. So let's do Nicar. Well, I think that's how you spell it. I can't remember. Now, my associate, he was from Nicaragua, and he caught hell from a lot of white people who suspected he was Iranian, right? So, and maybe I got to put in lady. Okay, so you see what I'm talking about? Do they all look different, or do they look like the same person and it's just a different name? Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hey, sir. What's happening with you? Oh, you are? It's already? Yeah. Hey, what's happening with you? I'm I'm still on my show right now. I'm about to wrap it up though, and I'll be over there. I'm just I'm doing my broadcast right now. So when I wrap it up, I mean, how long y'all gonna be out there? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Well, it ain't gonna be no time soon, right? Y'all still gonna be there about an hour or two, right? Okay. But that's probably when I'll see you. Okay. All right. See you later. Hey, peace. So yeah, y'all, that's my old school friend. Oh, there he is. Here he is. Let's bring him on. There he is. Son.
Hey, does it work?
Yeah, it worked.
Hold on, I need to fix my headset.
Oh, you might have to mute me up.
What'd you say?
I said you might have to mute me up to get rid of the echo. Sound like you
There you
did it.
go. I just fixed it.
Yeah. So I was just showing everybody the same. Now you see this lady from Nicaragua, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's the difference between her and this lady from Mexico when how they look?
She's darker.
She is?
She looks darker, yeah.
She look darker, huh? So
What
so
else?
so does she look like a Mexican?
The one that you're showing?
The
Yeah.
one that you're looking at right now, does she look like a Mexican?
She looks sort of Indian, but
Or the Indian?
yeah, the other
Okay,
one looks more Mexican.
okay. But so how about her?
Yeah, she looks Mexican.
She looks Mexican?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's Iranian.
Mm.
That's Iran. Now notice how the Iranian flag looks the same as the Mexican flag. It's got the same colors, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's just flipping in a different way,
Yeah, I
right?
see. Yeah.
And then so this person is Mexican and this person is Nicaraguan.
Mm.
Now Nicaragua is near Mexico. Kind of, I mean, they in the same area, what they call Central America, and they speak Spanish. In Iran they speak Persian and Arabic,
Mm.
right? But I was just basically showing everybody how these three types. Some people would say that they're their own race,
Mm.
but you can't really tell them apart. And being a part of a race means that you're supposed to have certain physical characteristics that you share that makes you a part of a race. And what I like to demonstrate is how it's impossible for a race to be real, because all of the different so-called races have characteristics that we all share physical characteristics. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of impossible for us to fit into that. You know, um, but the reason I was telling everybody about talking to people about the different religions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And could you tell everybody what you think, what your concept of religion is? Like, do you recognize God in all religions?
Yes, I feel like God is the same. Just everybody has a different name for their God. But I feel like, religion, my opinion on religion is that you're supposed to use whatever religion helps you the most. But at the end of the day, I don't believe in separate gods. I only believe there's one. They just all got different names for them.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, I pretty believe this. I pretty much believe the same thing, son. And I'm hoping that you know we could start a movement of people who believe that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you don't really hear that much about the people who recognize God in all religions. You're always hearing about what the Muslims think and the Christians think and the Jehovah's Witness think and the Buddha. We're always hearing about what all of them, but those of us who recognize God in all religions, there's not enough of us talking,
Mm-hmm.
and I think more of us need to be talking, right? And the
Yeah.
same thing, in the area of politics, like um, I was brought up to believe that black people were supposed to be Democrats. That's how I was brought up. When I asked my mom, I said, "Mom, what's the political party that black people are part of?" She said Democrats, right? But I found out my dad was a conservative. My dad was a Republican. So a lot of the information I had about politics, I got from him. And then a lot of information about politics I got from my mom. So I learned about Democrats and Republicans. I didn't find out my dad was a Republican until I was in my 30s. It just never crossed my mind because even though he was a Republican, he spoke out against racism. He did not allow being a Republican to stop him from speaking out against racist Republicans. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And uh, Malcolm said we shouldn't trust either one. He said Democrats. Malcolm X said that white liberals are uh, foxes and white conservatives are wolves. You can't trust either one of them in the area of politics. Now, I prefer to say racist liberals and racist conservatives, because I don't believe that all white people are racist. So I switched it up a little bit, but um, anyway. So do you listen to the politics at all?
No, I'm not really into that.
No, not really into that. No,
No.
nothing about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and you don't have any thoughts on them
No, no.
or Donald Trump.
No, I don't have no thoughts on him.
Okay, okay, yeah. Well, I did. I found last night to be extremely interesting in what you were saying, and I hope
Thank you.
that me and you in the future we can tag team. We can double time on the audience. We can
Yeah,
get them with some real constructive information.
for sure.
Something that's gonna help them. I didn't get a chance to see it, but I heard you talking about it the other day when you were talking about the active shooters.
Mm-hmm.
And you had, I think you had some suggestions for people if they got caught up in some active shooting
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was extremely constructive, son. I'm impressed. I'm
Thank
really
you.
impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah. So and the information you were presenting about the youth and guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was I really appreciated that you did that for your audience as well.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, that was something that needs to be posted. Definitely.
Yeah, so let me ask you something. So what do you think about that whole thing when it comes to firearms? Do you because when they talk about conservatives in the
Mm-hmm.
area of politics, conservatives are always saying, yeah, we have the Second Amendment right. The Second Amendment is our guaranteed right, the right to bear arms, and we should be in possession of firearms. And then I guess the message that the incorrect government is sending to us about the liberal side of things is they say that we shouldn't have guns, that guns are the problem. It's having the guns that's doing all the killing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know I think these are two issues that keep black people divided,
Mm-hmm.
because some black people are saying we should have arms, and the other black people are saying no, we shouldn't, and the other black people are saying yes, we should, and the other black people are saying no, we shouldn't, and the other black people saying yes, we should, and we just end
Yeah.
up going around in circles and never getting to solve the problem, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that? Do you think we should bear arms?
I think the first thing that people have to do is ask themselves what is the reasoning for owning a firearm. If it's to protect yourself, is it to protect yourself from other guns? If the reasoning to owning a firearm is to protect yourself from other firearms, if all firearms were banned, you wouldn't need to protect yourself from other firearms. Let's say a knife, for example. If everybody had knives, everybody had fists, things like that, that's different. If somebody breaks into your house with a knife, you can handle that totally in a way different situation, like, but if you're trying to protect yourself from somebody breaking in your house and then having a gun on you, something like that, then that's different. But if they removed all firearms totally and they made all firearms illegal, then I don't see where the problem would be at, because the thing is, I don't see any other reasoning for having a firearm besides if you're hunting to go get out and get some food, you're going to go shoot a deer, something like that. Other than that, there's no reasoning for having any gun. There's just not a reason for having any guns. If you need to have another type of weapon like a knife or something, I guess, to defend yourself from a group of people, or if you need your help defending, need help defending yourself from a group of people, then I guess that could be, somewhat a different case. But at the end of the day, even if it was a group of people trying to attack someone, and they all were using their hands, or I mean, let's say it was 6 people with a knife trying to attack one dude, just one person, or they all broke into, a dude's house that just only had his, hands. At the end of the day, the first thing that you should be trying to do is get out of that situation. But I mean, really, I think that's something that's not really gonna happen. Somebody trying to break into somebody's house and rob them with a knife or something like that. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but I'm saying that I just don't think that would be realistic. So having firearms really is just useless. There's no reason to really have firearms. It just doesn't make sense unless you're trying to attack somebody, defend yourself. That's what I think about firearms. I think that people don't need to be having firearms because there's no reason. I just don't see the reasoning to having firearms.
Okay. So some people say that the reason that they have firearms is because other people have firearms.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I was, talking about. The reasoning why people have firearms is because, they may get somebody coming in their house with a gun. They need a gun to protect themselves. But if nobody had a gun at all, it was no guns. I think the UK or something like that, has it like that or whatever, where they don't have no guns out there or something. I don't know, but
Right. Well, yeah, let's look that up real quick since you mentioned that, because
yeah,
that's something I've
yeah.
always heard, and I want to look that up real quick. Let me look that up.
Let's
But
see if
go ahead,
that's true. Yeah,
keep
because
talking.
I've always heard that. I've always heard that the UK and stuff has machetes, knives, blades. They'd be pulling out. I've seen videos of people from the UK pulling out machetes or whatever out there, clothes and stuff like that, knives. So if they have no firearms out there and they're using knives and machetes and things like that, then I mean, they don't have any firearms, and we could look up the crime rate out there and see which has more death by firearms. Is it out here or out in the UK, or I mean, what has more violent deaths? Like, is it out here or is it out in the UK? And the thing is, if out there they have less deaths, then it's obviously a certain reason why they have less deaths, which is probably mainly because they have no firearms. If that's true, that's just something I hear a lot. But you're gonna really look it up, so we'll see. But yeah, in my opinion, like I said, if everybody doesn't have a firearm, then there's no reason to have a firearm at all. There's just no reason. If you don't got to protect yourself from one, there's no reason to have one. Who got iron firearm or
Right.
shotgun in the
So
UK?
because people are allowed to have firearms, then I mean, realistically, that's the law, right? The Second
Yeah.
Amendment says that people are allowed to have firearms. And originally, to my knowledge, the reason why they put that in there was because the people who put together the Constitution, they wanted to be able to have the right to fight against the government if they felt like the government was going to try to be try to rule them through tyranny. So the whole reason that they um had the whole thing about independence. So did the United States used to be a colony of the UK?
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that. Okay, so the UK at one time used to be called it was a place called England. Okay, and it was ruled by a king. One of the kings. England has been ruled for like I believe about 800, almost 1,000 years. It was ruled by a monarchy. The king and the queen were running things in England. Okay,
Yeah.
and they had a king named George, who basically they decided that they were having a crime problem in in England. They were having a lot of people in England who wanted to be they didn't want to be uh, they wanted to practice different religious beliefs. They wanted to practice different versions of Christianity, and they weren't allowed to do that. They were thrown into prison if they practiced this different version of Christianity in England. You also had criminals, people who were rapists and murderers and thieves, all type of people that England was having problems with, and they decided to put them on ships, and they sent them to what they called penal colonies. Okay. And that was basically, let's get them out of the let's get them out of England. Let's get all these criminals out of England and send them somewhere else so they won't have to be England's problem anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were England's problem, but they weren't England's problem in England. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they sent these people out into the world and they established a colony. So a colony meant they just claimed some land, and they said, hey, we're going to claim this land in the name of England, and in exchange for England's support. So like when the first white people came here to this part of the world, they ended up meeting the Native Americans. Okay. And in their exchange with the Native Americans, a lot of people don't know where Thanksgiving comes from, but the first ones who came here, they didn't know how to survive off the land, and the Native Americans taught them how to survive off the land. And traditionally, the group of Native Americans that taught them, they made they had the settlers, which was the Pilgrims, they had them demonstrate to them what they learned. Okay. So, they taught them how to hunt. They taught them how to grow food, because all of the food that was here, all the animals and creatures and stuff that existed here did not exist in England. So they didn't know how to catch them. They didn't know how to catch the animals, the turkey. They didn't know how to catch the turkey. They didn't know how to, grow corn. They didn't have nothing like corn. Corn was grown here, but it didn't grow over there. And other different types of vegetables and stuff. So they taught them how to do that. And then Thanksgiving was the day that they had all of the settlers, the colonists, demonstrate to the Native Americans what they learned. And they had a big feast to celebrate it. Okay. Well, the next day, after the colonists learned what they learned from the Native Americans, the next day they went and they killed a bunch of Native Americans, and they put they built a fence around the territory that they decided to make theirs. They said, this is the territory of the Pilgrims, and they cut off the heads of the Native Americans that they dealt with and put their heads all around the fence to send the message, don't come over there. Okay. And they did this whole process, all the way through what they call the 13 colonies. So the 13 colonies are the original. They're all on the East Coast, all of the East Coast, from New York to Connecticut to New Jersey and Philadelphia, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. Those are all a part of the 13 original colonies. Okay. And so for about 300 years, England ruled those people in those colonies. They had control over everybody over here. Okay. But what happened was King George, some people say he was insane. Some white people say he was insane. Other white people say he just got greedy. But he started charging a tax on shit, like a lot of outrageous tax on tea and other taxes and stuff, and he was getting money. And when the people here were upset about it, he would use the British troops, because they had British troops over here. They would use British troops to to kill him, to attack him and kill him and whatever. So they decided to say that was being tyranny. And that's when they started, they decided they was going to fight back and establish their own country. like the way England was. So by establishing the Constitution, they wanted to guarantee that they could never be taken over or ruled by a king again. So they put the rights to bear arms in there. They said, well, look, if the military has arms, then the people should have arms. So that way the people can defend themselves against an incorrect government, a government that, that just wants to rule everybody by force. So that was the reason that they put the Second Amendment in there. Okay. Which is basically saying, look, as long as the government has guns, then the people should have guns. Right. But the concept that you're speaking of, which, sounds constructive to me, remove all the guns. If all the weapons, every weapon that's on the planet, right? Only knives that should be in existence are the knives that are used to cut as a tool to cut things, right? You need some help cutting something, but knives should not be used to cut people, right? And the same thing with any other device that's on this planet that is incorrectly used as a weapon. Now, if its whole purpose was made to be a weapon, it should be removed. But if its purpose was meant to make it as a tool to help you solve a problem, other than injuring or mistreating another person, right? Then it was cool. But I like that idea. What you said. You ready to look to see what they talking about?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see here. So it says, now this is you ever heard of the BBC?
Yeah.
Okay, so BBC says, let's see if we can zoom this in. It says there's been renewed focus on firearm laws in the UK after 5 people were killed by a registered gun owner. Damn, that don't even sound right. So they got guns over there. Says police say that Jake Davison, who shot himself after the attack in Plymouth, was a licensed firearms holder. What sort of guns are people allowed to own? There are 2 main categories, firearms and shotguns. A firearm is defined in the Firearms Act 1968 as any weapon from which a shot, bullet, or other missile can be discharged. A shotgun is a type of gun intended to fire a large number of small pellets rather than a single lead bullet or slug. It is more difficult to get a license for firearms than for shotguns because weapons that fire bullets must only be used for specific purposes in specific places. These would include deer stalking or sports shooting on an approved range. So look, that's kind of similar to what you were talking about. So it looks like they're only allowed to use guns for hunting. Says in contrast, shotguns tend to be used in more general rural circumstances, such as by farmers who are protecting livestock from foxes, and police recognize that landowners need guns for pest control. How many people have firearms? According to the most recent figures for England and Wales, there are 156,000 people certificated to hold firearms, and they own 617,000 weapons.
Dang.
There are shotgun certificates which cover 1.4 million shotguns. And then it gives the statistics for Scotland, and which is a part of Wales. It says, who is in charge of licenses? Gun laws in the UK are among the toughest in the world. The police are in charge of issuing shotgun and firearm certificates in England, Scotland, and Wales. Local forces administer the system rather than a central body because they will have local information that will inform their judgment. A decision on whether someone gets a license is the responsibility of the chief officer in that area. What does getting a license involve? Getting a license is a long and complicated business. It starts with an application form which asks specific questions about why the individual wants a gun, telling them they need to show good reason. This might be that they need it for their profession or sport. A simple wish to own a particular type of firearm is not enough itself, or not itself enough. They must also prove that they are allowed to have a firearm certificate and pose no danger to public safety or to the peace. Independent referees have to provide confidential character statements in which they are expected to answer in detail about the applicant's mental state, home life, and attitude towards guns. Officers check the police national computer for a criminal record. Anyone who has served a prison sentence for more than 3 years is banned for life from holding a firearms license. GPs, the hell does GP stand for? GPs can be
Gun
contacted.
permit? Wait, no, not gun permit. I'm tripping.
Oh, that
What does
might
it
be
stand for?
gun something. Gun. Let's
Maybe.
see. Did it say what GPs were? That's what messes me up when I see stuff like that. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know what that
GPs
is.
can be contacted if someone has listed a relevant medical condition, including neurological conditions or mental health disorders. Otherwise, GPs are contacted after certification when they can raise concerns. A note is added to the medical records of a firearm certificate holder. Finally, senior officers must be sure that prospective shotgun holders have a secure location for the weapon, typically a dedicated gun cabinet. Each certificate is valid for 5 years. Can a license be revoked? Chief police officers have the right to revoke a license or not to renew it. I'm just going to move on down. Control and risk, the two most important laws on gun control in the UK, came in the wake of two national tragedies. Michael Ryan's massacre of 16 people in Hungerford in 1987 led to the banning of all modern semi-automatic rifles, the types of guns that can be fired rapidly without needing to be reloaded. 9 years later, Thomas Hamilton killed 16 school children and their teacher when he opened fire at a school in Dunblane. Parliament banned all guns, and there is now a mandatory 5-year jail sentence for possession. Now, this is a trip, son, because, you know, when I was growing up, we're talking about now, I graduated from high school in 1987. Okay. I heard way before 1987 that they didn't have guns in England, that people were banned from using guns. But this is saying that, so this right here shows that wasn't even true.
Wow, so that must be a myth.
And then you heard it.
Yeah.
So we see that there are still some circumstances that allow people to have guns. But this right here, so a semi-automatic weapon, you know what semi-automatic rifles are, right?
Mm-hmm.
What guns are classed as semi-automatic?
A Draco. You know what that is?
Yep. Draco, which is a smaller version of the AK.
Yeah, it's
47.
like yeah, exactly.
An M16, or the rifle that the guy used at the Buffalo,
Yeah.
Those are semi-automatic weapons. M4 is a semi-automatic. A Mini 14 is a semi-automatic. See, here we go. 18 AR-15s. AR-15 is the civilian version of the M16. So, but all of these type of guns, these are semi-automatic weapons.
So you don't need a permit to purchase that?
No, they're illegal. You can't purchase them in the UK. You can't purchase them at all.
In the United States when you turn 18.
Oh,
when
no.
You turn 18, you can purchase them?
In certain states. So in California, they're banned. You can't. They don't have. Wait, I think they just unbanned. So let's do that real quick. California. Now you can own a shotgun. When you're 18, you can own a rifle. Certain types of rifles. So California's under 21 sales ban. Let's see. So U.S. Appeals Court overturns California ban on semi-automatic rifle sales to those under 21. Okay, so May 11th, 2022. So federal appeals court ruled Wednesday. This is this month. that California's ban on the sale of semi-automatic rifles to adults younger than 21 was unconstitutional. In a 2-1 decision, a panel of the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals found that the Second Amendment protects the right of young adults to keep and bear arms, which includes the right to purchase them. The ruling reverses a lower court's decision not to issue an injunction to block a 2019 state law that banned the sale of semi-automatic centerfire rifles to young adults. So you can buy one at the age of 18. As soon as you turn 18, you can buy one. You know, these long guns. Now, when I was growing up, you could buy them. There was no problem when I was growing up. As long as you're 18 years old, you could buy any rifle. So the thing that to me that makes guns safe is gun safety, right? You know, gun safety, and you know, like using the gun, the gun safety rules, right?
Yeah.
That's my thing. So, but that was a great question. So now we know that firearms are not illegal. I mean, firearms are illegal pretty much, but they do. People are allowed to have certain types of firearm in the UK. They can have a shotgun, and they can have well, it looks like mainly shotguns.
Yeah.
And any rifle that's not semi-automatic. So that would be, you know, a rifle that's not a semi-automatic would be like a Car 98. You know what Car 98 is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one thing that you know, I don't Car 98 is a bolt action. So any bolt action type rifle is legal in the UK. But you know, semi-automatic, no. And so I think that's what the main issue is, because you know, a semi-automatic rifle, you know, look, you see the Car 98, right? A guy walks into a place to try to use one of these, he might get away with shooting the first person, but as soon as he starts cocking that lever to put that next bullet in the chamber, he's going to be tackled. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the, you know, where the issue is, because with a semi-automatic rifle, it's a you could just start, you know, you got a clip, and it's automatically putting those bullets in the chamber, and you can start using it on people, you know. So apparently that cannot be done in the UK. So laws like that, you know, if there was a law like that, I wouldn't have an issue with that. But, you know, it's got to be across the board. It has to be across the board. Everybody, it has to apply to everybody. It can't be, well, some people can do it and others can't. You know what I'm saying? Because how can you defend yourself against a semi-automatic rifle if you don't have one yourself?
Yeah.
Right? So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that'd be way better. That'd be way better if that was, you know, put up in the law. Yeah, where there was no, you know, automatic rifles, and just, you know, things like, you know, the car, just like that. You know, how to, you know, bolt action. You know, yeah. That'd be way better.
You had I just realized you had I had some people in here that were I think some of them were your fans. They were talking about they watched your podcast last night. When I think it was When Day Breaks. You ever heard of that person?
Nah.
Oh wait, is that Tristan? Is that Tristan? Hope you and Thizz are doing well. Is that Tristan? Is that our Tristan, or is that another Tristan? See this Tristan?
I don't know who that is. No, that's not how you spell his name.
Oh, that ain't how you spell his name? Okay, that ain't our Tristan. Okay. And then we got this one, this When Day Breaks. See, he said, yeah, I was on that podcast. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. But we have more coming soon. Yep.
Yeah, he said I sent in a few questions, but I never really got an answer. But it was fun seeing him just be genuine.
Yeah, I gotta bring in some more. I gotta bring in some more. I gotta do that again.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. So okay, well, hey, I thank you for coming on, son.
Oh yeah, of course,
And
Dad. Anytime.
my audience, I want everybody to know we're gonna do more of these. I may even come back. I mean, stay tuned and get back on later on tonight if you down with that, son. Or maybe I'll come over on your channel or something. But
Mm-hmm.
I just need to go bounce real quick and run over to this outing, this little party thing that they got going on, because I just want to talk to my old folks from back in the day, from the rich, just to see what's going on. And I'll be back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks everybody. I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned to be back on soon. And yeah. Peace out.
He said.